On 4, who owes the city $8 million and the plan the city has to get it back. And saying goodbye, this will be Chief Meteorologist Don Paul's final newscast before he retires from Channel 4. Hear how he wants to be remembered. And we begin tonight with a forewarned weather alert. A soggy day across western New York, and some areas could soon be dealing with freezing rain. Good evening to you. Don is off tonight. A winter weather advisory is now in effect. What can we expect tonight? Let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Don Paul. Don?
Yeah, well, I had to leave you with a little something, and with the help of my friends at the National Weather Service, a winter weather advisory is up for a good part of the northern half of our viewing area. But right now, there are no slippery conditions other than just wet roads because temperatures are still above freezing. The advisory doesn't include southern Erie County. Doesn't mean there couldn't be a few patches of freezing rain toward morning. Northern Erie, Niagara, Orleans, Genesee, and Wyoming counties until mid-morning tomorrow. And here is projected ice accumulation from our rapid precision model. And while not every cubic mile of all of this territory will have an icy coating on it, we're talking about enough ice to make slick roads and sidewalks on untreated surfaces, not enough to bring down tree limbs and power lines. And this particular model has the city of Buffalo getting off much more easily than points to the north and northeast. We're now down to 34, down a degree at 6 o'clock at the airport. Look at that temperature contrast from north to south. 70 in New York City, 67 in Pittsburgh, but this shallow cold air already causing some mixed precipitation in northern Niagara and Orleans counties. We'll have more details on this and some pretty good news in parts of the 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes. Jackie.
And after almost 30 years here at Channel 4, Chief Meteorologist Don Paul is retiring. Stay with us as we get ready to say goodbye. Still to come tonight, stay with us. A fond farewell. Chief Meteorologist Don Paul is signing off after almost 30 years here at Channel 4. Hear how he would like to be remembered coming up next.
Byron W. Brown, Mayor of the City of Buffalo, do hereby proudly proclaim March 23rd, 2016 as Don Paul Day in the city of Buffalo, New York.
There he was, surrounded by friends and co-workers. Just about an hour ago, our chief meteorologist, Don Paul, was honored by the mayor for his decades of work and dedication to Western New York. And we're honored to be here on Don Paul Day. And we asked Don earlier, what would you do? You have the power today, Don. What would you like to do?
I've suspended all alternate side of the street parking regulations. The mayor doesn't know this. Don't introduce that in court as evidence. Just kidding. Please run that across the screen. Just kidding. I'm very honored by that, and I'm certainly going to be careful to protect that from the rain that's falling outside right now. And it is just liquid. Later on tonight, that's when some problems are going to develop. Now, up here at the shoreline at beautiful Wilson, the harbor, we're not seeing, or I'm not seeing, of course, my vision sometimes is not fabulous, any snowflakes falling. Forewarned Doppler radar indicating there has been a mix to the north, but earlier today was the warm part. Even the airport early today made it to 53 degrees, but no more, no more. Let's take a look at current temperatures on the Niagara frontier, and now we're in the 30s, slipping down, still above freezing, but getting closer at Lewiston, 33, 34 at Lockport, 36 at Cheektowaga. I hear a mob out in the hallway. I hope they don't have torch lights. And still a little warmer to the south, 39 at Springville. Now, at forewarned Doppler radar, we are tracking some mixed precipitation near the shoreline. Nothing sticking right now, but as we lose the daytime sunlight even through the clouds, we'll have a mix of rain and snow, and later tonight the cold air will be just down near the ground, and that's going to allow, as we hit 32 in many locations, for the mixed precip to turn to the slipperiest of all the elements, freezing rain. As I said earlier, not enough to bring down tree limbs and power lines, but enough to make for some slick spots, and that condition will still be around for the morning commute. Let's take a look at VividCast and note at 2 a.m. it expands the area, the model does, of freezing rain down into Wyoming County. You're included in the advisory as well, but not yet near Buffalo, but by the start of the commute, it does cover much of the Niagara frontier. So we start the day with any untreated surfaces likely to be slippery. If the salters have been out there, you'll be okay. And then we warm up during the day, dry out quite a bit to the east and southeast. Temperatures by late afternoon, 48 near the lakeshore to 60 near the state line. Tomorrow night, showers and a few thunder showers will cross the area ahead of a weak cold front with a few leftover showers on Friday. Now, we're 34 at the airport, 35 at Niagara Falls. It was in the upper 50s earlier in Wellsville, 42 now, but look at that, 61 at Connorsport and 60 at Bradford. Northeast breeze and southwest breeze. There you go, 34, and here's your forewarned forecast for tonight. Most of the showers will be from Erie County northward, changing to freezing rain much later tonight, maybe a 1/10 of an inch in some spots by morning. 32 near Lake Ontario to 40, 45 in the southern tier. Tomorrow, still some early icing on the Niagara frontier, turning to just rain showers, drying out in the afternoon. 48 near Lake Ontario, 52 Buffalo, 60 in the southern tier. Tomorrow night, some thunder showers, and then by morning we're a little cooler. And on Friday, some few showers left, 41 to 44. A quick look at the weekend. Gorgeous on Saturday, a warm Easter Sunday, and I don't think the showers are going to get here until Easter Sunday night. Numerous showers on Monday. So there you go, Jackie, my final 7-day forecast, such as it is.
It's terrific. This is the only place that makes you work right up until the last second of your job.
No slacking.
But as you know, this is the final newscast for our chief meteorologist, Don Paul, after almost 30 years worth of newscasts here at News 4. Photographer Rich Ursing and I have had the pleasure of looking back on Don's career and asking him how he would like to be remembered.
We are 10 degrees cooler than 5 o'clock yesterday.
He is Chief Meteorologist Don Paul, our forecast guru for close to 30 years. But he didn't start out that way. Don first became fascinated by the weather as a child, living in a New Jersey apartment that had no view.
The only way I could tell how hard it was snowing without bothering neighbors was to look out a window to the top floor, the 5th floor, where Mrs. Trevisano often left her kitchen light on. And I could see the silhouette of the snowflakes going past that shade.
Don maintained that fascination as he grew up and graduated from ROTC training before serving a tour of duty in the Army during the Vietnam era.
They kept me at Fort Benning the whole time, where you run around like crazy, but it's better than having live rounds coming at you.
Armed with a degree in meteorology from Rutgers, Don's first television jobs were in Bangor, Maine and Wichita, Kansas.
So you'll have to cuddle up tonight. It is a cold night.
Wichita, Kansas, Tornado Alley. And if I knew how little I knew, I might not have had the guts to take that job.
After Wichita came Tampa and his remarkable pairing with anchor Bob Coop, the same Bob Coop who would later become his longtime anchor partner here in Buffalo.
Right up to here, I might add. Now, somewhere out there in our vast audience, there has got to be at least one lucky soul who has come down here this week. And
It was on to Detroit next to become weekend meteorologist and a science reporter.
These brave merchants are continuing their lonely vigil, waiting for 43.3 more inches of snow.
But after 5 years in Detroit, Don decided to leave the Motor City for our much smaller Queen City.
Why would you go from a major top 10 to a medium market? Well, I wanted a #1 gig, and it was definitely the right decision.
You bet it was, for all of us. Don has flourished during his decades at News 4 to become widely considered the dean of local TV meteorologists, highly respected across the industry.
I think a lot of people here in Western New York would appreciate knowing that Don's reach in meteorology exists well outside of Western New York. I mean, I knew of him prior to coming here, and it was part of the reason that I actually wanted to join the team.
Don has maintained his education through the American Meteorological Society for more than 30 years, and his scientific achievements have been recognized by the Western New York Science Congress. Don has been lucky enough all these years to do exactly what he dreamed of doing, as that child craning his neck up toward Mrs. Trevisano's window.
I hoped to do what I'm doing now, to become a steady, long-lasting, on-air weeknight meteorologist, where I could teach a little, have some fun a little.
No one works harder or gets around faster than the WIVD.com weather bug. Just ask Don.
And haven't we had fun? Several times, Art Voice readers have voted Don as Buffalo's best TV personality. And remember, on beloved sports director Van Miller's last night here at News 4, he couldn't resist taking a good-natured parting shot at Don for often running too long in weather and cutting into time for sports.
He stole my time night after night after night, day after day after day, week after week, year after year, you know, with a potpourri of non-essential weather information.
Now, as we send our gratitude to Don Paul for guiding us through decades of storms and sunshine, here are 3 things he wants us to remember about him.
Someone with passion for his work, someone who did good work, and someone who was a reasonably nice person. And funny at times when appropriate. That's 4 things, but I always run over.
Yes. Don, your coworkers, former coworkers, colleagues all wanted to be here tonight for this very special night. And there are 2 more very important people who called and said, we must be there. They are your daughters.
Oh, my God. What a surprise.
Leslie and Leah wanted to surprise you. One lives in New York City, one lives in L.A., so you know it wasn't easy for them to get here. But they wanted to be here and surprise you.
Wow.
Absolutely.
What did I say?
Boy, I've been too busy to get teary-eyed. I guess that's a good thing.
And that is a good thing. And I know that you have some things that you would like to share with folks tonight.
Well, just going back to a point that we raised when you interviewed me, when I came here, a lot of people who I worked with in Detroit when it was the number 7 market back then, why would you go from 7 to 38? Now we're 53. Well, it was the best decision I ever made. These 2 were 4.5 and 2.5 when I got here, and fortunate enough to go to Williamsville schools, and I became jealous because I didn't go to a school system like that when back in Jersey. And when I came here, I figured, well, I have a 4-year contract. We'll stay 4 years and then maybe try to get back to a major market. Never crossed my mind again.
It was the right decision.
Yeah, like so many
said.
other people who have come here.
And I know there are people you want to thank.
Yeah, even starting with my very first autumn here, the then meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service, Don Moritz, who is still with us, he invited me to come out and got me some lake effect papers. I'd already read a few, but he said, you're going to have to live it. You're going to have to, and then nothing happened until mid-January '85. And the first call, at least, whew, that was a good call. And I want to thank my friends there who helped continue my growth. And, you know, some friends who were no longer with us when I was in Wichita, I had fallen behind academically because I didn't jump right into TV weather. And there was a meteorologist there who was an instructor at the University of Michigan. I coached him on the showbiz because he was having trouble, and he coached me on how to read the models that didn't exist when I was in college. And that really helped.
That really paid off. I know there are some people here at the station that you want to thank, too. Oh,
yeah, the staff, and that includes the people you never see. Greg Sanders as floor director, and Glenn Stiver isn't here tonight. Mickey and Tony in the control room, all the supportive people in the newsroom. Kelly, of course, our sweet and kind director. All those people that are never on camera, but we wouldn't be on camera without them. And Mike Brodowski, technician, too.
On behalf of Western New York, Don, I want to say thank you for a job well done. Well done. Thank you.